You're listening to the Tom Talks Baseball podcast on 710 AM and 97.5 FM KGNC. Podcasts are recorded during the week, and some information you may hear may be slightly outdated. Listen to this and other episodes as they happen anytime at KGNCNewsNow.com under the podcast section. Here are your hosts, Tom Young and David Lovejoy.
And welcome back. Another edition of the Tom Talks Baseball podcast, Sod Poodles Spotlight. You can find us on KGNCNewsNow.com and 1009theeagle.com. I'm Tom Young. Very excited once again. Love to do this throughout the course of the season. Get some of these Sod Poodle players on to learn a little bit more about them as they try to keep competing. They got that playoff berth, but that second half division still in reach. Magic number is 5 with that slim one-game lead. Got pitcher Kyle Lloyd on with us right now. Lloyd's had a very strong season for the Sod Poodles, 8-6, a 3.71 ERA. He's been even better in his last 11 starts, 6-1 with a 3.10 ERA. You take away that one blip against Frisco, it's even better than that. Kyle Lloyd, how you doing, sir? And thanks for being on.
Good, yeah, doing well. How are you doing?
Doing very well. And just first of all, you've had a whole year here in Amarillo. You've seen the city. You've seen the ballpark. What are your impressions of this place?
I mean, the ballpark is second to none. You can't really beat that. It's one of the best facilities I've played in for sure across my whole minor league career. So, I mean, you can't really beat going to that field every day when we're at home. And with the crowds and everything we've had all season, it's been a great place to play and kind of have that home field advantage. And overall, Amarillo's been a good spot for me. Kind of where I'm staying. It's in a nicer spot in Amarillo. There's a lot of stuff around, so it's been good.
Well, I'm glad you've had a good time here, and I'm glad you like Hodgetown. And I'm sorry to bring this up, but one thing that I've noticed were your splits. And it's a little harder to pitch at Hodgetown this year than it is on the road. On the road, you've been outstanding, 1.86 ERA. At home, it's been a 5.92 ERA, and we've found out that Hodgetown is definitely a hitter's ballpark. You got the wind, you got the short fence in right, you got the short distance in left. What are some of the difficulties with pitching at Hodgetown?
Yeah, Hodgetown isn't friendly for home pitchers or road pitchers, but it's just, a mixture of the elevation here being 3,600, I believe, in Amarillo, and with the wind, I believe it's one of the windiest cities in America. You can probably give me more info on that. But the wind blows out a lot. It doesn't blow in at Hodgetown. So when you combine the elevation with the wind, there's going to be some home runs hit that are going to be normal routine outs in other fields in the Texas League and kind of just everywhere else in minor league baseball. But it's just one of those things you have to deal with and try to learn how to pitch here, because there's places like this elsewhere. This field would fit perfectly in with the PCL, the AAA league. So it's a battle, but we're here. Well,
you talked about learning how to pitch here. Does your approach on the mound change when you're at Hodgetown as compared to on the road because of how much of a hitter's ballpark it is?
Not really. It's still the same approach. You just kind of have to lower your sights a little bit. That's what me and the pitching coach, Jimmy Jones, talk about a lot, because your off speed and your, like, for me being a sinker baller, like, it doesn't move as much with the elevation and the wind, because there's not too much humidity here. When you get into those other humid places like Frisco and in Corpus and even up north and all the, like, Tulsa, Arkansas, all there, like, the weather helps you there to make sure your pitches are moving the right way. Here, you can, if you're just a tick up, it's going to be kind of middle, right where the hitters want it.
Well, you talked about that sinker of yours, of course, a very good pitch, a good out pitch, getting a lot of strikeouts with that. It's worked as a starter. It's worked as a reliever this year for you. And just looking at your career, you've been in the minor leagues for a few years now, and you've kind of gone back and forth between starting and relieving. How much of a different mindset do you have to have between the two?
It's kind of, I try to, even when I'm starting, I try to attack just like like a reliever. I'm just trying to get one out at a time and just kind of focus on that one pitch that I'm throwing right then, and then, look at the batter as a whole, and then just try to get 3 outs and go in and just kind of go back out the next inning with that same approach, just trying to get 3 outs and just piece it together like that, not try to look at it as a whole, like, I have to go X amount of innings today because I'm starting.
Well, at 28 years old, you got a birthday coming up fairly soon. So, in October, happy early birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Being one of the older guys at 28, do a lot of the younger guys on the team, do they look at you as a mentor? Do they come at you for advice, or do they just leave you alone?
There's a handful of guys that I have good relationships with, and we'll talk baseball. But a lot of the guys are, like you said, I'm 8 years older than some of them, 4 or 5 years older than most everybody else on the team. People have questions, I'll answer, and I'll try to put my 2 cents in where I feel like it kind of fits. But for the most part, I have a good relationship with everybody on the team. I try to fit in like I'm the same age as them. So I don't want to stand out and be the old guy. What's
been standing out this year has been your play on the mound, the ERA under 4. You've had a lot of success at the AA level since being drafted by the Padres back in 2013. You've had a couple stints at AAA in El Paso where things maybe have not quite gone as well for you that have led you back here. And the way you've pitched this season, Kyle, I think it's safe to say AAA is coming again. You're going to get another shot at it to try to get that next step, get to the Padres team. What's different about you now than maybe 2 years ago or a year ago that will lead you to have more success at the AAA level this time around?
Yeah, last year I was dealing with some stuff in my elbow. I had surgery this past off season, so once I got that taken care of, last year I just wasn't able to execute my pitches. It was just like kind of at the end of everything, every throw, the finish of it just kind of like was grabbing me. So I didn't have the sink on my sinker, my best off-speed pitch, my split wasn't doing the same thing. Everything was kind of soggy, kind of how I would put it. So once I got that stuff taken care of this off season, my arm has been a lot better. Everything has had the finish that I want on it, and I've just been able to compete and try to get back to what I was doing a couple of years ago when I was here, and then being able to advance through the system.
Yeah, I think you're definitely healthy this year as you've been pitching very well. And you did get the slightest cup of coffee back in 2017 with the Padres. What was that experience like when you found out that you were going to be on the Padres roster for the first time?
Yeah, it was a dream come true. Everybody that plays this game, was waiting for that phone call to find out that they're going up to the big leagues. And, I just tried to make the most of it. It wasn't my best outing. I can look back at it and say that, but I've done some things this year. I thought that I've made some adjustments that I wasn't able to do back then in 17 and even last year in 18. And I think I've gotten back to who I am as a pitcher, and I've gotten back to executing the pitches that I need to do, to be successul.
How different of a pitcher are you now, you would say, than you were back in college before you got drafted?
Oh, back in college, I was mainly I just threw fastball and a split pretty much all 4 years of college. I went to school with some good ball players, and we played in a really good conference. So I was able to face some good competition. We were facing guys that are hitters in the big leagues right now. And when my senior year, there was a sophomore that is a pitcher for the Rockies now. He was a first rounder the year after I got drafted, and I was able to learn that way. But once I got into pro ball, I was able to develop a third pitch and bring back my changeup that I had in high school in the beginning of my college career. And I've just been able to refine everything and kind of got away from throwing a 4-seam and throwing a 1-seam sinker. And that's really what's helped me the past 3 or 4 years is just refining that pitch and be able to execute it on the corners and try to get ground balls compared to just trying to strike everybody out.
Well, talking about the past a little bit, one thing I like to do is to learn a bit more about your childhood. How does someone like you, who's obviously one of the best in the world at what you do, you're not playing professional baseball unless you are. How did you get into baseball growing up? Was it like a parental influence? Was it just watching it on TV? What about baseball stuck out to you as a kid?
I always played baseball from whenever I can remember. My dad played baseball up through college and played a couple of years of pro ball, so it was in my blood to play baseball. And I started playing t-ball, when I was 5 or however old you are in California and in the Bay Area, and then it was always my favorite sport. I tried football and I tried basketball, and they just weren't for me, really. And so I just started playing baseball all year round and just kind of devoted myself to playing baseball. It was always fun growing up, and, you know, that's what I think I've gotten back to even this year, is kind of not putting the stress on myself about, you know, getting back to AAA or trying to get back to the big leagues, and just kind of focusing on having fun, because we're all lucky enough right now to still be suiting up and playing baseball. It's a kid's game, and that's what I'm trying to get back to, is just think about when I was 5 and 6 and just having fun playing baseball.
As a pitcher, growing up, did you have any influences at the major league level, guys you wanted to be when you grew up?
You know, when I was a kid, I enjoyed pitching. I think I was pretty good at it, but I enjoyed hitting more and playing a position. And my favorite team growing up was the Giants, and I loved Barry Bonds. And then I really didn't start, I think, focusing on pitching until like high school, college, and that's when Tim Lincecum was at the peak of his career with the Giants, and he was my favorite pitcher to watch. Him and Matt Cain were, like, I don't know, in my eyes, like the best pitchers out there. So even today, like, I'll go back and watch some YouTube videos of Matt Cain's perfect game and Lincecum when he struck out 14 or 15 in the ALDS game against the Braves. Like, I don't know, that's just, it's fun to watch.
You know, doesn't it feel like that duo ended too early? You know, like Cain and Lincecum, man, they were just a great one too. You talked about that perfect game. That's one of the most dominating perfect games of all time. And of course, you know, Slim Timmy Jim or whatever you wanted to call him. I mean, it just seems like the Giants had that one too that could have lasted a lot longer than it did. Yes,
Cain had got his years in, that's for sure. He was around a little before, but the two of them together was short-lived. Lincecum had those dominant 4 or 5 years and then kind of started falling off, and then that's when Cain started to deal with all his injury stuff. But it's a shame, because that's when Bumgarner was just getting into the league, like just starting to establish himself, and if they would have had those three for a couple of years. But then I got drafted by the Padres, so I had to
you had to switch allegiance a little bit, yeah.
Kick the Giants to the curb, so.
Well, one thing you did, and I find this really impressive, because, you know, I'm from Illinois originally, and I've lived in Amarillo for about 6 years, and I was in Illinois for the first 30 years of my life, and moving this far away from friends and family was incredibly hard. But you ended up doing that out of high school, because you went to college in Evansville, Indiana, the Aces, I believe, right?
Yeah, the Purple Aces.
Yeah, the Purple Aces. And that is a massive move from California away from everything you knew. How tough of a move was that for you, or was it even tough at all?
Well, so I actually grew up and went to high school in Indiana as well. So we moved to Indiana when I was 12. So I was in Indiana, like, for high school and all that. But my parents and everybody actually moved back to California my freshman year of college at Evansville. So they left me pretty much.
Okay, so it was the other way around.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you did well enough there. You got drafted by the Padres. You're rocking and rolling right now in the system, and of course keeping very busy with that. All the work you got to do to try to stay on top of your game. But you've been able to find time, Kyle, to make a difference in the community, contribute to the community, get out and about, and because of that, the San Diego Padres recently announced you as their Community Player of the Year. First of all, congratulations on that honor. And second of all, how much does that mean to you that your parent organization has recognized what you have done here in Amarillo?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. It's just, I've always tried, whatever affiliate I'm at, to reach out and be a part of the community that I'm playing in, and make some relationships with people at the stadium, and try to help people around the community. It's just part of being a minor league baseball player, and part of being part of the community here.
And you've gone out and about, just made some appearances at various places, a bakery, I think you were saying. You were in Canyon before, and on Saturday, you're going to be somewhere else, I guess. You just don't know where at yet?
I think they might have said Hummer Sports Bar for player meet and greet. There's a couple of us going out. Maybe the manager. I'm not really sure.
Well, that's just right down the road from the radio station, so we'll have to come and say hi to you. And a big week, of course, the final week of the regular season here. Sod Poodles, of course, going to the playoffs, and the parent club, the Padres, and their Padres Foundation have generously donated $7,500 throughout the week to 5 different nonprofits in the area, $1,500 to each of those nonprofits, and on Saturday, the nonprofit you chose is going to get a $1,500 check, and that is the Amarillo Humane Society. Why, of all the nonprofits, Kyle, did you choose the Humane Society?
I think in college, actually, I went to the Humane Society quite a bit and did some stuff with them in Evansville. Like you had mentioned, that's where I went to school. And I was just thinking of some places here. And I have a great relationship with my dog, and she means a lot to me. And just thinking about, helping that side of, man's best friend out. And hopefully, they can benefit from that. And maybe some people, some dogs can stay around a little longer, and people will go and adopt them.
Well, Kyle, I want to thank you for joining us today. The Humane Society wants to thank you as well for choosing them for that donation. And good luck to you the rest of this regular season. Good luck to you in the playoffs. We've had a lot of fun watching you pitch this year. But hopefully, like my buddy David Lovejoy loves to say, hopefully we don't see you too long, because that means you're moving on and moving up to the next level. But thanks for taking time out today to chat with us on the Tom Talks Baseball podcast.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I want to thank Kyle Lloyd joining us today on the Tom Talks Baseball podcast, the Sod Poodles Spotlight to start the show. Good guy, great pitcher for the Sod Poodles this season. He's going to get himself another shot at AAA, it looks like, next year, and hopefully this time around he can get it figured out, find his way onto a major league roster. I'm Tom Young. Thanks for hanging around after the interview. David Lovejoy is in me with the studio.
Hey, good afternoon, Tom. How you doing today?
Doing very well. We missed you last week.
Yeah. I had my uncle, Tommy Reasonover, my mom's not youngest brother, but her little brother. He passed away at the age of 81 from cancer after a brief illness. Was diagnosed probably a week or so after Father's Day. Uncle Bo, probably one of my favorite uncles. He gave me my nickname that only family members know. So I dearly miss my Uncle Bo.
You're going to do that, huh?
Yeah. Well,
you're going to do that and then not say what the nickname is. And then
when I was born, my Uncle Bo came to see my mom and father as I was a little baby in the hospital. And I asked my mom where I got this nickname from, because only family members call me by this name. And to this day, if I hear this name, I know you're closely related to me of a certain generation. But the story goes that my uncle picked me up, and I started to cry, and my uncle, he just had this voice pattern. It was almost a singing kind of thing, everything he said. He goes, "Oh, this one's a dud." And so my nickname became Duddy. And so,
Duddy.
Yeah, Duddy. So that was my nickname my Uncle Bo gave me. And that's funny. His name is Tommy Reasonover, and we called him Uncle Bo Peep.
Uncle Bo Peep.
And the way my grandmother said it, his mom, I always thought it was Pete for the longest time, because she's Uncle Bo Peep. So I thought it was Uncle Bo Peep, but it's Uncle Bo Peep. Tommy Reasonover fall into two traditions of my family that has kind of been a hallmark of my family. Served in the military, was in the U.S. Navy from 1956 until about 1960, Vietnam era. And the other tradition is being a railroader. He was the first man of color to work as a brakeman west of the Mississippi for the Rock Island Railroad. Wow. So just a great guy, was a great golfer. My Uncle Bo was a great golfer, played some amateur PGA events. Gave me a pipe as a young man. He smoked a pipe, so the distinctive smell of his specifically blended tobacco that he had made, and just a great all-around character, my Uncle Bo. But shout out to my cousins, Scotty, Russell, Tina, Shavana, Tommy Jr., and Floyd, his kids, and Hope it's better. Uncle Bo's in a happy place. He's with Mom, or Aunt Dottie, as he called my mother, whose name was Dorothy, and he called her Dottie, and my grandmother, Catherine. So hats off and salute and a miss to Uncle Bo. Pete.
Well, sorry for your loss, but it sounds like he definitely lived a full life.
Oh, he's a great
for
guy.
sure.
He's a character.
And you were able to celebrate his life last week, and that's why we ended up missing you here.
Yeah, I heard you had a great show. I listened to the podcast. Always fun when you got Lance in the house, and Austin did a great job. But glad to be back. Also picked up another trait from my uncle.
Okay.
Love of Cadillacs. My uncle always had a nice new Cadillac, so I drive a Cadillac now. But yeah, so we're back, and we're going to talk a little baseball, and back in my happy place for a couple of days.
We are definitely glad to have you back. And the one place we're going to start, we're going to keep with the Sod Poodles for just a moment here. We'll do some MLB as things are getting interesting with the final month of the year about ready to get underway. But one cool thing about having a team like the Sod Poodles in town is, they're affiliated with the major league team, the Padres, and when you have an affiliation like that, a lot of unique things can happen in your city that maybe you don't get from an independent league team or something like that. And we just got done talking with Kyle Lloyd. He got the Community Player of the Year award by the Padres organization for the number of appearances and the things he does in the community. In fact, he was saying, I think Saturday, he's going to be at Hummers.
Oh, cool.
He and David Bednar, and I forgot, there's one other person, and I remember seeing the picture, and I apologize to that third person. I think it was another pitcher. But they're going to be at Hummers on Saturday, so I might try to make my way out there and hang out with the guys. But
I guess it's going to be Saturday afternoon?
I think late morning, early afternoon.
I need that evening.
Yeah, I need to see the time on that. But the organization, the Padres, they have this Padres Foundation, and they're donating $7,500 throughout the course of this homestand to 5 different nonprofit organizations in town. Now, on Monday, they presented to the Advo companies, and these are $1,500 checks to these 5, so a total of $7,500.
Yeah.
Later on tonight, if you're listening to this today, we dropped this on Thursday. The Downtown Women's Center is going to get a $1,500 donation. Buckner International tomorrow, Friday. And Saturday is the organization that Kyle Lloyd chose, the Amarillo Panhandle Humane Society. So that's really cool. And then Panhandle Community Services on Sunday. So the Padres helping out, putting some money into the community that the Sod Poodles play in. So get out there and support the Sod Poodles, the final regular season homestand. Of course, we know they're in the playoffs, but for that second half, they got a game lead right now, I think, over Midland. And magic number is 5. We're talking magic numbers, which is always a fun time in baseball. So get out there. Great win yesterday. Buddy Reed with the walk-off home run, one of 9 that was hit. And a couple of Kyle Overstreet's home run was crushed.
Really?
He hit a bomb to left center field, close to one of the deeper parts of the ballpark. It bounced and landed in the parking lot at City Hall. And I mean, it was a shot. And you had a Hodgetown home run yesterday too from Zuniga. He hit a pop-up that had no business being a home run, but it hooked around the foul pole down the right field line and ended up being like a 330-foot pop-up home run. And it was like, that's fair, okay. Like, the reaction of the crowd was hilarious because it was like, it didn't look like a home run. It just looked like a pop-up. And then it was like, oh, that's a home run. We should cheer now.
Yeah, the afterthought home run, huh? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I guess we could cheer for that. I don't know.
Yeah, but a big win against a really good Tulsa team yesterday. They're back at it against Tulsa again tonight. And Lake Bacher, unfortunately, had a bit of a rough one against Tulsa yesterday. And this coming after we learned he's going to be one of the postseason All-Stars for the Sod Poodles. He's one of 4 players on the Sod Poodles. Louis Torrens, catcher's had a hell of a season. Yvonne Castillo, Edward Oliveras, along with Lake Bacher, postseason All-Stars. And speaking of Austin Hartsfield, who we had on the show last week, I think he changed his Twitter handle to Hartsfield PC. Okay. So that's where you can find him now. Cool. He pointed out, or at least he was the first one I saw point out a very obvious omission. That was David Bacher.
Yeah.
Or David Bednar. Sorry.
Bednar. Okay, yeah.
I'm combining two people.
Yeah,
there.
I was about to say, that sounds like two people.
Yeah, I mean, after Munoz left, Sod Poodles needed a closer, and David Bednar has been the man. And he was huge yesterday, coming in a pressure situation in the 8th inning, got it done there, pitched a scoreless 9th, which allowed Buddy Reed to do the walk-off shot there in the 9th inning. So we'll see if the Sod Poodles can win the second half division.
Yes.
If they don't, doesn't matter, I guess, because playoff baseball is happening. So I think they're doing some neat towel giveaways for the first couple playoff games.
This Sunday, they're giving away a lightweight hoodie.
I saw that.
Yeah. So
our buddy
stuff.
Shane was repping it on social media. And, got to find her. You going to be out there Sunday? You going to be out there for KGNC Day?
I think I am. I think it's KGNC night. Of course, it's a long 3-day work weekend for us, rather. So, I might get out there and hang out in the ballpark.
Give me a hoodie.
We'll do.
I'll give you money or something.
We can always call. We know people.
Yeah,
so we can always call people. We know some people.
I think. I don't know about you, but you're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve when it comes to knowing people. Speaking of people that we know, congratulations to Anthony Woodby.
Yes.
Who we announced last week on the podcast as our first winner in the Ranger. That's the Los Angeles Rangers. Yeah. First winner in our Ranger bobblehead giveaway. He heard his name. He reached out to us. Dude is beyond excited to receive the bobbleheads. And go ahead.
Well, it just guys like that are what make it worthwhile. I don't care if he's the only guy who listens to our podcast. That's cool. He made that cool, and he was so excited, so happy, glad he's going to enjoy that.
And congrats again to Anthony Woodby, winner of the bobblehead last week. Anthony living in Miami, Florida. Want to wish he and his family and everyone else in the state of Florida safety as that Hurricane Dorian makes its way closer to the southeastern coast of the U.S. Looks like it's going to get stronger before it hits, so hopefully everyone down there doing what they have to do to stay safe. 2 more winners this week on the Ranger bobblehead giveaway. Congratulations to Nathan Skinner and Kathy Fair. They are the winners this week of the Texas Ranger bobblehead giveaway we are doing. We will have 2 more winners next week to finish off this giveaway. Be on the lookout for more ways to enter to qualify for a chance to win those bobbleheads. You can do so by following us on Facebook, Tom Talks Baseball Podcast, also Twitter and Instagram at Tom Talks BBP. There is plenty more of this podcast that you can listen to right now by checking out our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. David Lovejoy and I got into some Major League Baseball talk with Texas Rangers, National League wild card, also a team that I think the Dodgers should be scared of if they have to face them in the postseason. You'll want to check that out as well. Thanks for listening this week to the Tom Talks Baseball Podcast on News Talk 710 AM and 97.5 FM KGNC. Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks for checking out this week's Tom Talks Baseball Podcast on KGNC. To join the conversation and hear all episodes of the podcast as they happen, go to KGNCNewsNow.com and search under the podcast section. Like the Tom Talks Baseball Podcast on Facebook and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Talks BBP. Thanks for listening, and we'll check in next week on the Tom Talks Baseball Podcast.